German manufacturing companies have to implement the DIN 50001 by law. Now, this norm is also implemented as an ISO norm. But what exactly are the differences?
Actually, there are none differences. So the problem is only this distribution around the world. So, for example, in Germany, we have quite many people implementing this because they are forced to do so. But around the world, it looks different. I brought some numbers with me, so maybe we can switch over to the slides. Thank you. So, for example, in Germany, as I just said, we have already quite a high number of people implementing this standard, but the whole Europe is only more or less Germany. And if we take a look closer or more out, so the whole world, then we see that actually the European part is bigger and the rest of the world is more or less just 1/3 of all numbers we have. Now, let's take a look at the growth of this standard. So looking at different standards, the ISO 50001 is pretty new, so that's why the numbers are still small. But as you can see, the growth is almost the same as the ones we're comparing here, so the ISO 9001 and 14001. So all growing after some years, and the same will happen to the ISO 50001. And that's why I think it's quite helpful for you to see how, for example, we in Beckhoff had to implement it, and we did it, and how we did it. So in the first place, we did it very practically with more or less the less effort we can do. So we started with our network, which was already existing, and put on our terminals and couplers, which are then providing the data measured and captured from the terminals. For example, the energy measuring terminal connecting voltage and current to this terminal, providing power values into the network, plus the digital input, which is then collecting numbers or inputs for the nitrogen and the compressed air, and providing energy numbers for those two, all combined in our software, TwinCAR2 in this case, and send up into the Ethernet, which were already existing. We gathered all these information in a screen which was placed in the production hall. And actually, obviously, the main aim was to get the ISO 50001 certification, which we actually get. But this screen, in the end, was the most helpful thing which we implemented, because the worker in the halls, in the production site, were able to see where they should go if something breaks down. Because if a machine doesn't do what it should do, the consumption of the compressed air goes down immediately. And so if the consumption of compressed air is low, then everybody knows that's the place where we have to go and fix the problem and get everything running again. So because of this enhancement of our effectiveness, we started to implement the system all over our place. So, but as you might know, the existing structures might look quite different in old buildings. So, for example, we have analog measurement stuff in some cases where no digital information are around. Sometimes we have some digital information already because some digital measurement devices are in the place, but some Modbus, some MBus systems, so a mixture of very many different communication systems were all over our place. And the best thing, sometimes you actually have a building control system. So that's obviously the most easiest way, because in this case, all informations are already at a certain point. But how to connect all this? So starting from the analog world, we add some of our terminals once again, and connect those once again to our Ethernet network and put all these information into one place to a single point where we can store them. Or in the case where we already had some information or digital information, we can place gateways in front of that to just connect the bus systems, so the Modbus or MBus system with our Ethernet system, and so gather the information from the one side and place it into our single point. And the most easiest way is obviously something, if you have a built-in control system, then you don't even need to do anything at the hardware, because the hardware is there, the informations are already there. The only thing which is missing is a piece of software connecting this system with the upper system to gather all information at a certain point. And sometimes even this is not enough, because you have sites all around the world. So you probably need a connection via the internet. And as you hopefully know, we as a company also supply products for communicating over OPC-UA or MQTT, which is also a good gateway for you to use third-party software if you require those or have it already in place. And how all this looks, or just one application looks inside our production site, I tried to show you in this small video. Unfortunately, we cannot go there by now, so hopefully it gives you a general idea. We replaced the old stuff, so the old measurement part, which were analog, with our digital terminals. All values are gathered at a certain point, so this certain point is then just one single display showing every measurement point in one screen, which is much more easier to read as if you have different displays where you don't know which one to look at. And also our auditor thought that this is a very handy thing and gave us, not because only of this reason, but also because of this reason, the certification of our ISO 50001. So we got the certification, and if you look at it very closely, then you can see that we have two different certifications. One is the older one, so the one from 2011, and here's also the newer one, so from 2018. And this is also good to know for you, because these norms are not totally equivalent, so it is a little bit more difficult to get the new one, but we got it already, so we can help you with this, how you can get it, and we are happy to do so. And what we will do is probably build in such devices at your place. For example, these terminals are our energy measuring terminals. We have them in different groups, so the very easy one, the power monitoring ones, or the power measurement ones if you need faster values. In both cases, you will get the power quality factor. So the power quality factor is combining many different and complex information at one point. So for example, the THD, the voltage information, the frequency, and asymmetrics of the voltages are all combined in just a single number, telling you if the power quality, which is provided from your wall to your machine, is good or not. So if it's 1, everything is just perfect, but if it's 0 and your machine breaks down, then maybe it's not even your machine which is actually causing the problem. And so you want to take a look at your power supply. And I think this is very helpful, once again, to fix problems faster. And if you want to do this in the whole area, I would recommend to use our distributed power measurement system. In this case, it's combined out of two terminals. So at the one side, we have the EL3443, which is measuring voltage and current for you, and obviously is able to calculate powers out of it. And on the other side, we have the EL3446, which is only measuring current. But it also should be able to measure power, because, well, how is that possible? Because we have this distributed power measurement system, which is providing the voltage information over the EtherCAT system to all terminals which are connected to it. And because the EtherCAT system itself is also synchronized by the distributed clock system, these measurement values can be collected and calculated with each other, which is not very simple, because this synchronization is extremely needed, because the phase information of the voltage to the current brings the information if you have apparent power, reactive power, or active power, which you probably want to have. And so in this case, you only measure current, but nevertheless you are able to measure all powers just by adding a current measurement terminal. And that is cheap and very effective for you. And obviously, most of the time you want to measure more than 1 amp, which is the terminal actually measuring, so you need current transformers. And also those are provided from Beckhoff, in this case in 2 different ways. So in this case, the split core system, which can be opened and you can connect it to primary currents you don't want to open. Or if you want to build up new systems, then I would recommend the ring core types, because they are a little bit cheaper and more precise. And in both cases, you get them from 5,000 to 1 amp, and also in different accuracy classes, just as you need it. Together, this builds up a system which is providing you information as fast as possible at one point. And in this case, you don't need to go into the cellar to see if everything is good in your power supply. You simply maybe actually open up your iPad and see the measurement points at this mobile application. Application is another good word. I brought some applications from our customers with us. So it's not only us who implemented this ISO standard, also in this case 4 of our customers. The first one actually were able to reduce their power consumption of a storage hole by 92.5%, which is amazing, I think. It's a lot of energy, which is not anymore needed, even though the illumination level was getting higher and the stuff also was more satisfied than before, just because they used our DALI system, which were able to only light up the area where someone is working, and all the rest of the hall stays not dark, but way less illuminated, and therefore they saved this amount of energy. And if you actually take the DALI 2 system, you have an integrated energy measurement also directly, also only from your light system. And another thing is, in this case, our production side once again. And I want to emphasize that the return of invest were only 2 years. This is really a short period of time, just by the first thing we saw on looking on our energy measurements. So we reduced our standby energy for our pick and placers, and that was all we had to do to get the return of invest in only 2 years. Or maybe number 3. In this case, we implemented a 100% Beckhoff hardware system for our customer. And again, it was not only energy measuring terminals which were needed, we also needed digital inputs for measuring impulses or temperatures. And even the energy measuring points were very interesting, because we get a very high signal density by using the signal phase measurement part of it for measuring a 3-phase motor. So with one terminal, we were able to measure 3 motors at a time. So this obviously needs a 100% customer-specific implementation, but it also were able to solve a lot of problems. And concerning problems, sometimes these problems are a little bit bigger. So in case of our next customer, he is actually providing primary control energy into the main. So this is obviously a very big thing to do. And to be able and allowed to do this, you have to be really, really fast. And they did it with our extreme fast control system. This was able to get the information of the frequency inside the main in a precision of 10 milliseconds every 20 milliseconds in time. So in this fast time, they got very precise information how much energy is needed, and therefore they can simply earn a lot of money with our system. Looking at all these 4 different applications, I hope you believe that we are able to help you in more or less any case you come up with if you want to implement your ISO 50001 standard, or maybe even more. And even if you look at this 100% customer-specific way and think, we probably need this, but it's probably way too expensive for us, I have one more thing for you, because we have what we call TwinCAD analytics. It's a way where you can do 100% customer-specific software and hardware, but it is extremely simple to configure. So in this case, you see the lower part, which could be different machines or different production sites, all connected via MQTT system to a message broker. The message broker, once again, is connected to a storage point where all data is stored. And another thing, which is up here in the middle, this is the only place where all calculations are done. And even more helpful is that all these calculations are not programmed. They are simply added together by adding different function blocks in a graphical way and providing, in the end, a very one-click dashboard, which is providing all the information you might want to do or measure in your system and analyze them. Because this TwinCAD Analytics runtime, which is running on this PC, can not only gather information, they can also analyze them. And so in this one-click dashboard, you don't even have to put on only energy values. You can also do ratings and other things which are actually required for the new ISO 50001 from 2018. So all this together hopefully tells you that we are a good partner to start your ISO 50001 project. And in the end, this brings you hopefully a cost-effective energy measuring system, which you can spread out all over your environment and achieve a very good, reliable data acquisition system and help you to be very fast in reacting on certain problems which might occur because some machines doesn't do what they should do. All this based on our open control concept, and so you have the maximum flexibility to get the right solution for more or less every application. So if you want to get more information, please contact us. Thank you.